Hey everybody, Dave here. Hope you have an awesome day. So, I just got back from Pasadena, California, and I had a chance to go to the Pasadena Rose Bowl swap meet. And it wasn't as awesome as I thought it was going to be because things were pretty pricey. California, people know what they have. But I did score this Landspeeder. It's a 1995 Landspeeder for $5. It is missing the front windshield, and it's in okay shape, but I think I'm gonna rat rod this thing out, so come on, let's do it. Okay, here is the Landspeeder that I found at the flea market. It's in great shape. It's got all its stickers on it. Originally, I was gonna take the whole thing apart so I could paint it easier, but I just could not get the thing apart. I think it's screwed together and glued. I do want to save all these stickers, so in order to do that, what I did was I took a hairdryer and I just heated up the stickers for just like 30 seconds, and it was enough to loosen up the adhesive. Even these stickers are from 1995, but they just popped right off. So got out my Dremel and started doing some weathering. I didn't need this little knob here, so I went ahead and snipped that off because I'm going to go ahead and glue the trunk closed. I don't need to get in and out of that. Because I'm going to actually kind of do some greeblies on top of it. Speaking of greeblies, here's one of my bins. It's so much fun to be able to dig through these, and if you are a builder, get yourself some little containers and start collecting these little greeblies. I had these little guns left over from our 1M robot build. They were broken, but they're going to be perfect for this. Kind of digging around looking for something on the front grill. I wanted some like spikes or something. And these little electronic components are great. So again, save all these little things. I pick up models at yard sales all the time. Most of the time they're partially built or not complete, but there's some great little greeblies on here. I don't know if I'll use all of them, but I think there's a couple pieces here. Like this thing here. It has a cool feel. It's a little wobbly, so I went ahead and just sanded the bottom off. I got a wooden dowel here. I'm just kind of doing some measuring, and I think I'm gonna have a little spike coming out of the front, and then we'll build a grill around it. So I just put it in the pencil sharpener, and then I'll just kind of fit it in there. And I'm just kind of dry fitting these little spiky things to see kind of how I'll make this bumper and what I'll do there. I'm going to go ahead and glue in that little spike so I don't have to worry about it anymore. I do have to be careful not to stab myself throughout the rest of this build, but other than that, pretty cool. Got some Gundam pieces here. And the windshield, because it was missing, has these giant holes in it. So I thought, well, maybe these little guys will fit in there. And so they actually dropped in and kind of angled. Worked out pretty nice. You'll see, I'll build on that a little bit later. Another little car part from a model. This is a different model kit. I think that'll be pretty cool. I'm going to take some flower wire and actually build out a frame for where the window was. And just so happens this little iced tea can here was perfect dimensions. And so I just kind of wrapped my flower wire around that, and man, that looks great. I do this a lot. A lot of times I'll use like bowls or cups to draw circles, or use dowels or rods to bend things. So keep an eye out what's around you, because you can take advantage of that. So I've glued this into place, and I'm going to add a couple of little, maybe like window supports. So I just took some more flower wire, glued it on. I'm using some accelerator to help, and I'm going to do a little magic trick here. Dink. Ta-da! I made it disappear. I am always in a rush, and I didn't let it dry fast enough, so what I did was I went and cut little pieces and glued them separately, and that worked a little bit better for me. Now the gun, it needs to be like lifted off a little bit, so I just took a small piece of polystyrene and built this little spacer, and that looks pretty great. I'm drilling a hole in the back here. I'm going to add some wire because I want it to look like it's wired into the Landspeeder. So I'll drill a hole into the Landspeeder here, and then I should be able to kind of force this wire in there, and then I'll kind of glue all this into place. I'm not going to glue this on yet because I want to paint everything, and I don't want to have to paint around this, so I'll glue this on at the end. Adding some additional little wires just to add and fill in some space. I'm using some old jewelry saw blades, and I'm kind of gluing those across the front of the windshield there, and that gives it a little bit of a Mad Max kind of look. I just found this little random piece that I thought would look kind of cool with the wire coming out, and I'll put it back in the back section just to kind of fill out that blank space. So just kind of gluing some pieces on, drilling some holes, running wires through, and that looks pretty cool. Again, this was from that Audi kit, just a little piece there to kind of fill in that dashboard. And I don't even know what this piece is, but I actually cut it in half, and it ended up being kind of cool. It looked like one component fit over there, and then this other piece, it just fit right over the edge, and it gave it kind of this cool little like turbo booster kind of feel. Now the back of the seat was hollow and empty, and it just kind of looked ugly to me, so I took some polystyrene, made a little template, glued that on, kind of fills that in. It just aesthetically looks nicer to me. And then we're going to prime this thing. This is like one of the greatest parts about adding greeblies, and then once you prime it, everything just pulls together. A lot of times the greeblies look really bizarre or weird, but this is so awesome. It's so much fun to see this, and all the texture and everything really pulls together. So I'm going to paint this thing like a military green. So I got a rattle can spray of Rust-Oleum green, and yeah, that is looking really cool. Now, the rest of this video, I'm going to go ahead and kind of detail this thing out, and it's kind of common to what I normally do. So while I do this, I want to tell you a little story about my trip to Pasadena and actually purchasing this toy right here. But if you have any questions about what I'm doing, just drop a comment below, and I'll be happy to get back to you on what I'm doing. My paints are just Citadel paints and acrylic crafts paints. I think most of these I'm just using Citadel. So anyways, when I go to Pasadena, I have been dying to go to the Pasadena Rose Bowl flea market. And my daughter, she is in Pasadena, and she was like, "Oh, Dad, I went to it a couple weeks ago. You'll never find anything. It's just so big, and there's nothing there for you." And I was like, that sounds like a challenge. So I was like, I'm going to find something. Well, I get there, and it is huge. I mean, this thing, it's the entire parking lot around the Rose Bowl parade, but it was also like, this was a couple weeks ago, so July 10th. And it was hot, hot, hot. Actually, I think it was July 12th, but it was really hot. It was like 94 degrees, and you're in the parking lot. The asphalt is just cooking you, and there was so much stuff, but man, it was not cheap at all. I have not been to a flea market in a long time. I'm more of a yard sale and thrift store guy, but these people in California, they really loved their stuff quite a bit, and I think they knew what it was worth. A lot of it felt like higher eBay prices. So it wasn't as fun for me because I love hunting for a deal. But I come up to this booth, and there was two guys there, and they had a whole bunch of just junk. It looked like they were maybe junk pickers or something. I'm not sure. But they had a X-Wing that had no wings, and then they had this Landspeeder. And I was like, how much are the Star Wars toys? And the guy's like, I don't know, like $20 a piece. And I was like, $20 for the X-Wing with no wings? And he was laughing, and he was like, I don't know. I said, how much for the Landspeeder? He goes, maybe, how about $20? And I was like, $20, man, I don't know. So I looked it up on eBay, and I was like, on eBay it's going for $12 with the windshield. And he's like, well, hold on, let me look it up. So he's looking it up on his phone. He's like, oh, look, here's one, $40. And then he's like, oh, wait, that's in a different currency, a different country, never mind. And he's kind of going back and forth. Well, then his buddy yells across the way. He's like, come on, man, you've never even seen the movie. Just give it to the guy for $5. He's like, all right, fine. So he gave me this Landspeeder for $5, and I was like, yes. So I felt like I accomplished something. I went there and found something, even though my daughter said I wouldn't be able to. I actually found a couple of other toys. I got pretty decent prices. But there was like one toy. It was just this little action figure. It was actually a pile of action figures just laying on the ground. And I was like, how much is this thing? And she goes, they're like $3. So I said, okay, cool. I grabbed one. She goes, oh, no, that one is $6 because the joints move. And I was like, what? I was like, you can keep it. So Anyways, I had a good time. I'm putting the stickers on here at the end, and you'll notice I put that one upside down if you have a keen eye. So, but I was really surprised. I didn't do any spray adhesive on these or anything. I just stuck them right back on, and I used a Q-tip to kind of push them just to seal them on a little bit better, but they went on really nice. I was quite pleased. So yeah, this was a really fun project. Okay, this was a super fun build. Pretty simple. It's a lot of just putting stuff on there and taking it off if it doesn't work and finding that perfect balance. And I found this little pilot for it. So let's do some turnaround shots of this thing. And as always, it's a great day to be a toy nerd. Have a great one.